Well, hello everyone, and welcome to episode number 15 of Practical EdTech Live. Hello Facebook, hello YouTube. I've got both going at the same time. This is, like I said, episode 15 of my semi-regular series or installments of answering your questions live on air. Now I have a handful of questions that were submitted to me in advance, and I'll run through those first, and then I'll answer any other questions that you want to submit. Feel free to put them into the Facebook or the YouTube chat. Either place is fine with me. Doing it live on both places. So let's go ahead and get started. I know many people are back to school, and you may be joining me from school. So if you're doing that from school, thank you. All right, so this one came in. I just read your post from April 7th, so a few months ago, about creating appointment slots in Google Calendar. My question is, if we use this for parent-teacher conferences, is the appointment information visible to other people? For example, if a parent reserved a slot, would other parents see the names, or does it just show some generic message? Is there a way to control what others see? So the answer is no. No one else except for you will see which parents have signed up for which appointment slots. What parents will see on the appointment slot calendar is just that there's not an appointment slot available anymore. It'll just show that they can't reserve that time anymore. So that's a really convenient. Now, if you want to share that calendar and that list of appointments with, say, your guidance counselor or another team member, you can certainly do that. You can share the calendar itself just like you would share any other calendar in Google Calendar. So next question. I love your tutorial videos. Thank you. Just curious, what are the extensions you use in Chrome? I recognize some of the icons, but there are a couple I don't recognize. Thanks, Sam. So Sam, in my Chrome browser, if I'm just going across the top of it, what you typically see is Hootsuite. I use Hootsuite to manage my Twitter account. It lets me not only schedule messages for future delivery, but Hootsuite also lets me create columns of lists of people that I follow. And using Hootsuite is a great way to kind of bring some order and to my otherwise chaotic Twitter stream. So by having lists in Hootsuite, I can quickly find a thread. I can find a chat. If I want to follow up a specific hashtag, I can create a column in Hootsuite that will follow that specific Twitter chat. So then I have Google Keep. Google Keep I use for bookmarking and writing quick little notes for myself. I use that every day, many times a day. Then the other ones that you probably may not recognize across my Chrome browser, I have an extension called CaptureCast, which is what I use if I'm trying to make a webcam video on a Chromebook. CaptureCast lets me just capture my webcam and my screen at the same time, or just my webcam. I don't have to capture the screen. I also have Nimbus Screenshot, which I use for making screencast videos on Chromebooks. You'll also see one that I just stuck in there and I don't use it all that often, is Soapbox. I tested out Soapbox as a way to make some screencast and webcam videos. I don't really use it. It just happens to be one of those things I never deleted. I use Bitly, so that B symbol, I use Bitly pretty often to shorten long URLs into something that's manageable. Pinterest is probably one that you recognize. Google Drive, my save to drive option. And then the last one that I have in there is an email dictation extension, which does exactly what you think it does. It lets me dictate emails. I don't use that one terribly often, but I was using it a lot earlier this year when I hurt my hand and I couldn't really type with my right hand for about a week and a half. So that's why that's still in there. So those are the extensions I use the most. Now, the next question came to me on Facebook through the Practical Ed Tech page. And hey, Lynn, thanks for joining. came through the Practical EdTech page on Facebook. If you had $25,000 to spend on coding materials for young students, what would you buy? I want to start by saying that coding and programming are often used interchangeably, but aren't necessarily the same thing. Coding is writing the codes that will perform a function, and programming is figuring out how those codes will work together. So while they're similar, they're not 100% synonymous. But anyway, I need to clarify that. So my response to this person was, by coding materials, are you talking about materials that students use for programming physical objects like robots? And the response I got was yes. So in that case, I would start with taking a look at some of the stuff from Makey Makey and looking at what students can program there with physical objects. I think with young students, it can be very powerful to see their objects start to come to life, if you will, or see their program actually carry out a physical function. I think is a very powerful tool for students, particularly young students. And then I just wanted to follow up and say, if you don't already have them in place, I would make sure you have some Windows or Mac computers available for your students to use, because you can do more programming with a real computer like a Windows or a Mac computer than you can with a Chromebook or an iPad. Now you can do some things with Chromebooks and iPads, but you can do more with a Windows or a Mac computer. And $25,000 is quite a budget. I'm not sure how many students you're working with. That's pretty sizable chunk. You could also get into 3D printers, and that's more of a design than it is a programming or coding, but you can get into that. And last but not least, I'd say take a look at Turtle Art software for teaching programming concepts to students. It's free, but you do have to run it on your computer. So you'd have to install it on a Windows or a Mac computer. Check out the Turtle Art software, look at the Turtle Art Gallery, and check out what you can do there. Way back when, that was kind of my introduction to computer science, way back in 1980, using Logo. And Turtle Art is kind of a continuation thereof of Logo. All right. So, other questions that have popped in here. Besides Remind, what other text messaging services are out there that you can use? And this one came in on Twitter. Remind is great, but there are other options out there. Celi is one that comes to mind. CEL.ly. Another option you may consider is Class Messenger. So you take a look at Class Messenger. And not to be forgotten, there are some services like ClassDojo and Remind, which are really set up as digital portfolio tools. But those also have SMS push notifications. I shouldn't say SMS, push notifications that can be sent to mobile apps as well. So consider that. And the last question that I have in advance from readers, and this is one I've gotten a bunch of times recently. I got this on Twitter just this morning, which is kind of what prompted me to do this episode. Suggestions for YouTube video editor alternatives. And I wrote a blog post about this maybe a week and a half ago or so. Some things that come to mind immediately. So the YouTube video editor is going away on September 20th. Just a point of clarification, you'll still be able to do end screen annotations, and you'll still be able to do some of the filtering and just trimming, but you won't be able to do any of the real editing anymore. And the YouTube slideshow tool is going away as well. So some things that come to mind immediately are Adobe Spark, which you can find at spark.adobe.com. Stupaflix is another one, stupaflix.com. WeVideo, you can check out wevideo.com. Now, if you're a Mac or an iOS school, so if you're a Mac or an iPad school, you have now free access to iMovie, and I would probably start there. Those are some options to get you started as alternatives to the YouTube video editor. All right. So, if there are not any other questions, I'm going to wrap it up. As always, thanks for joining me. If you have any questions during the week, feel free to send me an email, and I'll feature them in the next episode of Practical EdTech Live. I'll also try to answer them in email to you as well. So you can send those to me at richardbyrne@freetech4teachers.com or richard@byrne.media. Either place is fine, or you can send them to me on Twitter or Facebook or any other social media channel that you can find me on. So thanks, everyone. Have a great rest of your week.